First thing is set the forms. I only have 2 forms to set on this patio since the house on one side and our retaining wall on the other are taking care of the concrete on those 2 long edges. But setting these side forms is the step that establishes the slope of the concrete, and so it's critical to get it right. 1/4 of an inch per foot is ideal for exposed aggregate surfaces, but I'm settling for a little less here because it's under a roof. On this edge we have a small cantilever, which means the slab will be hanging out in space, right out over the edge of the stem wall by a few inches, maybe 3 inches. It creates a bullnose overhang that gives a nice, bulky, finished look to the edge where the concrete meets the split-face block. One thing to watch out for here is you've got to protect the face of the block from any concrete stains that could bleed down through the crack, and that's what the visqueen and the expanding foam is for. The next step is to work on the base, the subgrade, and as you can see, it's all got to come back in a wheelbarrow. I'm bringing in this rock just to get a uniform thickness in the slab, then I'm compacting it, and then I will add rebar, just like I always do. Rebar is just not that expensive compared to the overall cost of the job and the good that it does. Rebar in a case like this is going to guarantee that this slab stays tightly together for a long, long, long time. The rebar is tied with wire just well enough to keep it in the right spot. It's set on 2-inch concrete blocks called dobies so that the steel runs just below the center of this 5-inch thick slab. Another reason that this particular slab needs rebar is this cantilevered edge. The rebar will give that edge all the strength it will ever need, so there is 0 chance of it ever breaking off. Now you see this gap between these 2 mats of number 3 rebar? That's exactly where we're going to cut the control joint. So I'm greasing and tying in place 1/2-inch diameter round bar as slip dowels. With one end greased, it will allow the slab to expand and contract laterally without heaving or shifting vertically at the joint. It's 5:45. The mud's going to be here in an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to have the best concrete finishers in Southern Oregon, maybe on the West Coast here. Dustin and Tom. They're going to be accompanied by Brian Reynolds, who you have seen building the pad, excavating the footing, Reynolds Excavation. Those 3 guys, accompanied by Rich, who is virtually now a fully journey level turned out concrete finisher, and Bo, Tom's son, who is getting close to that point. It's just a crackerjack crew. They can do anything, and I am so sort of satisfied and content and relaxed because I know they're the ones that are going to be handling what is really a pretty technical little pour where the finished surface is going to be a big part of the final appeal and finish of this house. So it's a big day. I can't wait to show you how these guys pour exposed aggregate, exterior flat work, one of which has a tall turned down face which needs to be stripped and faced and exposed. It's going to be a great day. The concrete's being put into place with a pump. I always use a pump. It makes it so much easier. And then it's screeded off with a nice, straight 2x4 that is made of western red cedar. A wooden screed rod acts like a wood float and does a nice job of striking off the top of the mud without tearing it, and at the same time it pulls up the fines, the sand and the cement.
Whatever, Bo.
Next step, hit the slab with a magnesium bull float. A bull float is cutting and filling any small discrepancies in the surface profile that was left by the screeding, and it smooths out the cream at the top of the slab to form a nice surface. Next step is this tool called a torpedo groover. It cuts a perfectly straight groove in our slab, which will force any cracking that happens to happen right here.
Out of your place.
Oh, I might do my shot. Yeah.
You know where this was? The whole time. It was on the wash machine. It was on the washer. We looked for it and looked for it, and finally, we found it. It's just hilarious. Yeah, he was absolutely cracking me up that day. I was like, Jay, come work by me. You're funny.
Next, the slab is edged, and when the concrete is hard enough, we pull off those edge forms so we can apply the same finish to the vertical faces as we do to the top. After the slab is nice and smooth with all of the trowel marks wiped out and has taken just about the right amount of set, Dustin applies a coat of surface retarder, a medium etch surface retarder, which keeps the very top of this from getting hard. After about an hour and another coat of the surface retarder, we lightly wash off the top of the slab, exposing all the rocks. It takes a little scrubbing, but the result is a very attractive slab where the aggregate material itself is exposed and displayed as the final decorative surface. For more information about how this finish is achieved, I recommend you watch our video called Pouring Technical Concrete, which is the footage of another patio that we poured on this house at the same time as the patio you're watching, which explains why it is that you're watching so many guys working on such a little patio. Thank you for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.